Hey friends, and welcome. This is Dr. Heather coming to you live from Ask Dr. Heather, also known as the Keto Doc. Welcome, welcome. If this is the first time that you're joining me, I want to give you a nice big warm welcome. The reason that I have this Facebook page is because I found myself in the clinic getting lots of questions that patients would come to me that weren't related to their visit and wanted answers to, or they would leave the office like, okay, I had one more question, or I was sharing recipes about helping people swap this for that. So I actually created this page to help people get more questions answered more efficiently. And I also figured that if one person had a question, I knew more people had that question. So that's why it's called Ask Dr. Heather. But I also did this page because 10 years ago, I was actually teaching the ketogenic diet, a low-carb living lifestyle 20-some years ago. But I've been getting a lot of questions lately. I have been deep diving straight into keto and people saying, whoa, put up the stop signs. I need a much simpler pattern. I need to start much slower. How do we do this without counting all the macros, without doing all the math, without adding the total versus the net, without this? Let's start way simpler. So that's what we're going to do here in the next 30 days. We're going to help find where you fit into all this scheme of things without doing a whole bunch of math. So yesterday we did day one, which is what do? You get rid of the garbage. So I had my trash sack out here yesterday, and I simply just took a recycled trash sack, and so he's like, what do you put in there? Anything in your cupboard that has words on it you can't read, that has red dyes in it, or blue dyes, or yellow dyes, or anything that has a dye in it, anything that has MSG in it, anything that has some type of preservative, any type of artificial sweeteners, things you know that are toxic to your body that you know you should not be putting in there. So generally if it comes in a box, you probably shouldn't put it in there. I do have a list, so generally start looking at cakes and cookies and pies and frosting and things like that. But if you want to send me your email, I will email you a list. I know many of you asked me to get a list to you of my autoimmune friendly keto food list, or it's also a low carb paleo food list, and I know I've still got about 140 people I don't have that to. I'm getting it, so please be patient. So yesterday our task was 2221. I will let you go listen to that and what that means yesterday. Today we're going to talk about intermittent fasting. So this can be confusing to a lot of people. Intermittent fasting, and it's backwards, of course. I thought I switched it. Intermittent fasting is not confusing. All it means is a time that you're eating and a time that you're not eating. We have been doing this since we were actually born. There was a time that we'd want to eat and a time that we wouldn't want to eat. Of course, then when we became a little bit older as toddlers, we became the snacking population where let's have a snack here, let's have a snack there, because our mothers were taught to have a snack. And I'm very guilty of that, of having my kids have a snack before this and a snack before that. We had to do that because we were feeding carbohydrates to our kids and we didn't want them to have blood sugar issues. Well, now we know, even back in the 70s, the normal time for feeding was actually about a 14-hour baseline. But now in the current day time, it's actually about a 6 to 8 hour baseline, which is actually very sad. What that means is we are eating about 16 to 17 hours a day that we are eating. We actually want to be resting 16 hours a day. We don't want to be eating 16 to 17 hours a day, because if we are eating 16 to 17 hours a day, our digestive system never gets a rest. It never gets to do something called autophagy, is which we go clean out all the junk, all the debris, get rid of all the toxins, go reset our immune system, go reset our hormones. We're always constantly digesting food. So number one, that's why we clean out the toxic stuff in our refrigerator. And then when we're intermittent fasting, all you have to do is simply add the time together. You don't have to calculate macros this first few weeks. You don't have to add and subtract total carbs, net carbs. You don't have to find the perfect keto calculator. All you have to do is simply set the clock. Oh, I started eating, I know it's backwards, friends. I started eating at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock plus 8 hours, I need to be done eating by 6 o'clock. Pretty simple. So all you do is when you wake up in the morning, you have some water. And then when you decide that you're actually hungry, not just bored or not just in a ritual of eating, when you're truly hungry, you eat. And so then you set your timer, put it on your phone, add 8 hours, and then you know that you need to eat within that time frame, and then you're done. And you have an 8-hour time frame to make good choices in between that time. We are not going to count anything. Who's excited about that? Raise your hands, give a high five. Hey, Sylvia, thanks for joining me here. Be excited about that. We're not going to have you do any sorts of math, and we're not going to be dividing grams by kilograms by this, by that. You're simply just going to add and eat in an 8-hour time frame. If it ends up being 6, that's okay. If it ends up being a 7-hour time frame, that's okay. We're only going to eat in an 8-hour or less time frame. Yes, that's it, folks. That's all we're going to do. Then the other 16 hours, maybe it's 17 and a half some days, maybe it's 16 and a half some days. Then what does that mean? That means your body gets to rest. It gets to rejuvenate. It's going to reset cortisol and adrenaline. It's going to get rid of the old debris inside your red blood cells. It's going to get all rid of that stuff. What I do want to let you know is people are like, well, am I going to lose fat? We actually never lose fat. What happens is we have the same amount of fat cells that we do right now, I'm over 20, as we do at the age of 20. So at 20 years old, we set the number of fat cells. So whatever we have, number of fat cells at 20, we have now at the age of 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. I'm not 80 yet. But at whatever age you are, if you're over 20, that's the number of fat cells you have. Our fat cells just get bigger. When we lose weight, because each fat cell has about 170 toxins in it, have 170 different hormones in it, I should say, not toxins, they get smaller. Then they get bigger, then they get smaller. So we want to keep them smaller. That was not even on my notes to talk about, so I'm going to stay to my notes. So all you need to know is that you're going to eat in an 8-hour time frame. So you're going to do the 2-2-2-1 we talked about yesterday. You're going to eat from the food list that I'm going to send you. If you don't have it, shoot me an email. If you did send me an email and you don't have it yet, just give me a little bit of time and get rid of the garbage. And so now I'm just going to talk a little bit about education-wise. I know I'm a little bit early here today. I know a lot more people can watch at night, but I have about 40 different videos on this on my YouTube channel, which is Ask Dr. Heather. But I don't want you doing any math today. I just want you eating real whole foods and eating in an 8-hour time frame. The first couple of days it may be hard, just like when you learn to play a piano or a violin or throw a baseball. It could be hard because you may be hungry after that time frame. We do want you having that last meal 4 hours before bedtime, but you can have water outside that time frame. So in that resting time frame where your body's resting, it's okay to have water. It's okay to have exogenous ketones. It's okay to have tea. It's okay to have coffee. You just don't want to have anything with calories except exogenous ketones. You can have exogenous bone broth. That means bone broth with ketones in it. That's okay to have, but don't have any bone broth you buy at the store because oftentimes it's too high in protein. Protein needs insulin to actually be made into glucose so you can use it. So with that being said, I want to let you know that our baseline back in the 1970s was 14 hours. All I'm asking you to do is just squeeze it back to where it was, and we're just going to go back to a 16-hour time frame of resting. This is actually the most powerful source, and this is what all people can agree on. All scientists can agree on this. Natural healers can agree on this. All cultures can agree on this, that this is actually the most popular worldwide known healing natural source is intermittent fasting. Most people agree on this because it's not starvation. It's actually fasting because it's giving your body this controlled time of which you're letting your body feed and which you're letting your body fast. Again, I've talked about this all the time. A long time ago, even 1970s, not even that long ago, most of us were alive in the 70s, or most I was, there were not drive-thrus that were 24-hour a day, right? Grocery stores were not open 24 hours a day. Gas stations were not open 24 hours a day that were in every single city. Now we're able to feed all the time. But we go back to fasting versus starvation. Starvation is an uncontrolled environment where fasting is a controlled environment. And yes, even when you're eating 8 hours a day and you're not eating 16 hours a day, that's called intermittent fasting. You're just not eating during that time. I'd love that you guys are jumping on and you're tagging friends and you're letting me know where you're coming from. But we think about fasting. Who's done fasting in the past? If you have, raise your hand. We know that health experts have actually been teaching fasting. They've been promoting fasting. I've been teaching fasting. I follow a lot of Dr. Jason Funk's fasting information. We also know that spiritual leaders have been doing fasting. We know that Gandhi actually did a lot. I put a lot of notes down here I won't go over. I was going to go over, but Gandhi actually talked a lot about fasting for the spiritual mind and body and soul. We also know that Jesus Christ actually talked about the plague and how much it was actually important to actually control fasting and the plague and how important it was for fasting and prayer during the plague times. We also know that Muslims actually during Ramadan practice fasting. We also know that Buddhists actually also practice a form of fasting. Mormons actually also have a fasting period. So it's it's not a negative time, it's actually a positive time. So there's a period of time of fasting, and there's a period of time of feasting and celebration. So when you're letting your body rest, it's so important, because we know that when we're resting, it's a freedom from stress. That's exactly what it means, because when our autonomic nervous system is calmed down, it's when we're actually resting and our digestion is resting. It's because it's freedom from stress when we're resting. And when we're fasting, it's just cleansing and purification, because we're not putting more things inside our body. It's when it can cleanse and refresh. Even Benjamin Franklin, who's one of the smartest men around, said that the best of all medicine was actually fasting and resting. And Hippocrates, who was actually known to be the father of all medicine, actually said, let food be thy medicine, let medicine be thy food, but never feed the sick. And I know that when he had classes, they actually had people fast before they came to their class, and not fast for 2 hours, but actually fast for 15 plus hours, so their brains would be super sharp, not having them be distracted by digestion. So we can go on and on about who are the leading thought leaders back in the day and how long ago we went back to talking about fasting, but it's a normal part of our life. And so we come in tune to our body saying, when should we eat and who's telling us to eat, like a mermaid on a coffee cup is telling us to have some sugar up to 700 calories in a medium cup, or someone with a golden arches is always telling us to eat. Or somebody with a bucket of chicken is telling us to eat. Let's talk about who's telling us to eat. And we look about who the smartest people in the world are, and some of the world health leaders in natural health is telling us to eat. We need to actually address that and say, who's telling us to rest? Well, when you go in for colonoscopy, you're supposed to rest your gut. When you go in for any type of surgery, your doctor's going to say, let everything rest. Don't eat, don't drink, let your body rest, right? When you go in for a good dental cleaning, you're not going to go in and eat a whole bunch of chewy, gummy stuff before. It's because it lets your body rest. I know those seem like very simple examples, but sometimes people need to hear those very simple examples to go, aha, that actually makes some sense. So the other question is, people say, okay, that makes sense. I've done it before for colonoscopy. I've done it before for surgery, for dental surgery, for prepping for this, but can I actually do it on a daily basis? Can I actually just eat 8 hours a day? Or could I do a 1-day, 24-hour fast, which means you eat Thursday lunch to Friday lunch? Could I actually do that? And I do it every week. So this month, I'm going to actually encourage you to do that. But my mission this month is to get as many people as we can. I think, I'm going to look this up. How many major cities are there in the U.S.? I'm going to look this up. But I would love to have one person from every major city helping other people within their city learn how to do this. How do we start? We start by incorporating within our food 2 tablespoons of 2 teaspoons of grass-fed butter, 2 teaspoons of extra virgin coconut oil, and 2 teaspoons of some other type of oil, whether it be avocado oil or olive oil or sesame seed oil, some other type of oil, and 1 teaspoon of Himalayan sea salt, pink sea salt, kosher sea salt. Then the second step we're learning today is intermittent fasting. So we're going to eat in an 8-hour period. So that is all your homework today. I promise me, if you follow me every day for the next 30 days, and I'm making that commitment to you, you follow these little tiny steps, by the end of the 30 days, you're going to see this be such an easy transformation. I want to give you the rules in less than 2 minutes, like saying eat in an 8-hour time frame and then don't eat. But yes, you can drink water, coffee, tea, and ketones that time frame. And then I'm going to give you the logic or the science behind that, just because I know some people need the science behind that. But you can look up major thought leaders on YouTube videos. You can look up some of the different religious leaders that I talked about and how long and extensive they go in talking about how important it is to have that rest and digestion period where you're not letting the digestion period happen. So if you need that, just email or put your message down here. Don't private message me, because I know I've got about 190 private messages last night, but I want the questions here because your question is always really, really good. And I know other people have that same question. And so I think your question is just as important for everyone else to hear with that. So again, we're just going to eat in an 8-hour time frame. So if you know that you have a family dinner like at 7 o'clock, then adjust that day. And what I want to help you do, my son's been doing this, and I want to give a big shout out to him. I do have 4 sons, and my son that's doing this, I shouldn't say his age, he's 23, went to college. Everybody gains a little weight in college, not playing AAA travel hockey anymore. Anyway, he started doing intermittent fasting, and so he has gotten into a little habit of just eating every day at the same time frame. And I was sharing with him, you need to actually switch it up. You need to really notice, when are you hungry? Don't just eat from 12 to 7 every single day. Like, you need to see, when am I hungry, when am I not? That's why I have some days skipping breakfast, skipping lunch, because you use different energy different days. You eat different quantities of calories every day. We're not having you count them, but your body's energy expenditure is going to be different. You're going to sleep different amounts. You're going to sweat different amounts. You're going to drink water different amounts. So it'll be different times that you're actually hungry different days. It could be 10:30 one day. It could be 9 o'clock one day. So just listen to your body, but first drink water to make sure you're not thirsty. And I know I'm going on a little bit excessively, but I do want to make sure that you understand what this 8-hour means, because I'll get a lot of questions. Will this break my fast? Will this not break my fast? Calories break a fast. So if you have sugar in your sweet tea, unless it's stevia, truvia, erythritol, or xylitol or allulose, everything else, if it's in a pink or yellow or blue wrapper, please don't use it. Those are all artificial sweeteners. No honey, no agave, none of those things. They're all on the list. So just shoot me to your email and I will send you out the list that has all the foods in it that are a go. And then we just, again, want you rotating those time frames. So I know at first it may seem very easy to say, I'm going to eat every day from 10 to 6, 10 to 6. But I really want you getting in tune with your body. When are you hungry? Yesterday we talked about ghrelin and leptin, or maybe that was 2 days ago, about those appetite and hunger hormones. So you can get a little bit listed onto those about what makes your body say that you're hungry and what signals that. It's kind of like a little bell that rings in your head that, oh, I'm hungry, I need energy, and not just, oh, wow, that smells really good, I think I should eat that. Happens all the time to all of us. So today it should be super simple of day 2. Tomorrow will be super fun as well. I do have some other topics we need to talk about besides just these day things. So tomorrow we may have 2 lives. One of them, we're going to address the dairy testosterone conversation, because I've got somebody asking me a lot of questions about dairy and testosterone, but I want to keep on our 30-day lifestyle to help you transition, whether that be from the standard American diet, eating 60% carbohydrates, going to maybe a paleo diet, which is a 40-30-30 or a zone diet, or maybe you want to go low carb to having 20% carbohydrates, or maybe you want to go all the way to keto, which is 5 to 8% carbohydrates. All these tools that I'm giving you will work for all of those lifestyles, whichever one works for you, but you just need to identify. I have a toxicity questionnaire I also want to send to you that will help you identify, am I doing this for inflammation? Am I doing it for, I want to lose some fat loss, I need to get those fat cells smaller? Or am I at a good weight and a good fat, but I have inflammation I need to get rid of? Or do I need to balance out hormones? So for different reasons at different things. Not ketogenic diet is not all for fat loss. Low carb is not all for fat loss. People can have heart disease and be underweight. People can have type 2 diabetes and be underweight and need more lean muscle mass. And that's a great thing. During fasting, you actually preserve your lean muscle mass. People think you actually lose your lean muscle mass, but you don't want to fast too often. So hopefully we gave you some tidbits here. Again, today your homework is, what you're incorporating is you're incorporating intermittent fast into the next several days of your life, let's call that. And again, if you have a friend who want to join in, I think it's always great to have an accountability friend, so you can say, I'm eating now, and set that timer. And I live with a family of 6, and so I know sometimes my eating hours don't always work with everybody else's eating hours, and that's okay. My kids will just say, Mom, are you eating with us? And they'll say, nope, that's Mom's fasting day. And I'll just sit and have some water, I'll have some tea or something else with them, and I've gotten used to it. And sometimes it's good that they know I'm not eating, because that way they kind of have, I have 10 sets of eyeballs, 5 sets of eyeballs, 10 eyes on me, watching me not eat. So sometimes that can be as helpful as well. So Sylvia said she actually is doing this 60-hour reboot now. So that is great. So I will finish up with that. So one time a month, I do a 60+ hour reboot. We know at 48 hours is when you increase your human growth hormone. When you increase your human growth hormone. So right now we're talking about doing just a 16-hour fast, eating 8 hours every day. So an 8-hour window. One time a week, I do a 24-hour fast, which just means I go Thursday to Friday, just like lunch to lunch or brunch to brunch. Then one time a week, I do a reboot, but I use a kit. The reason I do a kit is because we have a lot of depletion in our soil. We're exposed to 70 to 80,000 toxins in the air. So I believe that we need those extra nutrients while we are fasting. And when you follow Dr. Jason Fung's work, he's like, it's okay to have minerals, calcium, potassium, magnesium. We need some selective amino acids like taurine and leucine, which come in a reboot. reboot kit. We drink the ketones so we don't crash and have those hanger episodes where we go for the donut or we go for the cookie. We have those ketones, and we have the better broth. I always call bone broth God's Gatorade because it has all those trace minerals in there that's sprinkled with some ketone body, beta hydroxybutyrate. So you have that nice even level of blood sugar. You have a nice even level of mood. It calms down your nervous system. It aids in your sleep. It helps reprogram your genes and protect those aging hormones. So we have, those are on sale for probably about 7 more hours. If you want to get one of those, let me know. Just send me a quick message and I'll help you get a referral code for that. But what happens when you do that extended fasting, more than just 16 hours, you increase that human growth hormone. In females, 1,300%, men, 2,000%. You stimulate more fat burning mode. You also improve your muscle tone development, what I think everybody wants to do as we start to age. You also increase your bone density, which is super important. You reduce inflammation. We know sugar and carbohydrates increase inflammation. So the longer that we can abstain from those carbohydrates, the more that we'll reduce the inflammation, get rid of all that toxic glucose and glycogen that is in our muscles. You also increase circulation, because we know that sugar can cause, when you have inflammation, think of a garden hose that's being stepped on. When you let that go and when you start exercising and moving that around, you increase the whole lymphatic system of the body. It also enhances proper collagen production. Collagen is so important, not only for skin elasticity, for also the elasticity of all of the stuff, our momentum around our intestines, around our heart, around our kidneys. And so when I break my fast, collagen is one of the first things that I put back into my body. I do have collagen every single day in my diet during my 8 hours of feeding. But once I break my fast, whether it's 60 hours, whether it's 72 hours, whether it's 24 hours, I do a 4-plex of collagen to put in there, because collagen is important for sustaining our eyes and our eye socket, believe it or not, our shoulders and flexibilities of our muscles and our joints, of our hips and our pelvis. And if you don't know, I am a right leg above knee amputee, so I need to keep that flexibility as much as possible, because when they amputate your leg, they actually reattach some of those ligaments and muscles so they're not in the original space. So I need to keep all that amount of flexibility that I can. So for many reasons, one time a month, I let that rest and regenerate and repause. That way you recycle all those hormones. And hormones are not just estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and DHEA, which is our anti-aging hormone. It's also things like cortisol. It's also things like aldosterone and insulin. There's so many other things that are involved in our hormone circulation. Again, about 170 different ones, so I'm not going to list those off for you. But Sylvia, I'm super proud of you and excited for you to do that. Again, if you want to know, and Lynn, hello from London, Ontario. I love seeing people from across the pond joining me. And again, this is meant to be shared. It's meant to be educational, but join us for our 30-day journey of biohacking your body into being a metabolic boss of your body, learning when and how to have some extra cheats, or how to actually manipulate your body so that you can actually have the best results possible, so you can celebrate, like we talked about in those religions where they would actually fast, feast, and fast and feast. So we're going to teach you how you fast, and then you feast and celebrate, and then you fast again to let your body rest, and then you feast and celebrate. And when you feast, you make those really good choices. So you have like that Thanksgiving dinner. If you're from the US, you know what that is. You have that big celebration and you enjoy that without overindulging to make yourself sick. Because remember, when we're eating, we're either feeding a disease or fighting a disease. So when you next time you put something in your mouth, ask yourself, and I have water right here, am I feeding my body healthy and well, or am I putting something in my body that's going to feed a disease? So anyway, I've got water. So cheers to you. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for day 3. I'm sorry, I can't guarantee what time. I'm in the clinic in the morning, but cheers to you on day 3. I'll be seeing you tomorrow. And don't forget, Healing Grove tomorrow. So there's a message down below. I'm joining an amazing elite group of speakers in the Healing Grove. An amazing 35 different speakers, 22 special offerings. Each time a speaker speaks, they have a special free offering for you. So don't miss it out. You can register for free and watch it with a 9-day event special. So right down below, I think it has Healing Grove down below my Facebook page. Please share that. It's free to share. It's free to join in. It's free to listen in. An amazing group of healing. My very dear friend, Dr. Kristen's going to share her journey with Lyme disease and what she did to heal herself, the different healers that she used, different physicians she used, different tools she used to actually help her body overcome and get the Lyme disease to rest quietly in her body. So I want to make sure I give a big shout out to her. So please join us, and I want to see you guys in the Healing Grove. I am live on there tomorrow, joining her at 2:30 Central Standard Time. So you got to join it to get in. Again, it's free, which is amazing. and share it with all your friends and family. So have a great day, you guys. And lovely from Wales. Karen, good to see you from Wales in the UK as well. So thanks for joining us. And again, we'd love to see you in the Grove tomorrow at 2:30. If not, also see you here at Ask Dr. Heather tomorrow night. Have a great day, guys.